Hello and welcome. Tonight is a quiet tour through Bunya Mountains National Park. There's no need to rush. The journey moves slowly along forest tracks, beneath tall trees, and into places where the world feels older and a little quieter. Rain may come and go. Night sounds may settle around you. Nothing will ask anything of you. Before we begin, we'll pause here for a few moments and allow everything to settle. Wherever you're listening from tonight, allow yourself to stop moving. Feel the surface beneath you, the bed, the chair, the floor, holding you without effort. You don't need to adjust anything. Beneath that surface, imagine the steady presence of the earth itself. Long before paths were marked, long before voices were heard, the ground was already here. It knows how to hold weight, and tonight it's holding you. I'll count down slowly from 10 to 1. There's nothing you need to achieve. Just allow each number to soften you a little more. 10. Notice your breathing exactly as it is. 9. Feel your feet heavy, supported. 8. Your lower legs and knees settling downward. 7. Your thighs and hips. No need to hold. 6. Your belly and lower back, softening with the breath. 5. Your chest and shoulders. If they've been carrying the day, they can rest now. 4. Your arms and hands, fingers loosening. 3. Your neck and jaw, teeth gently apart. 2. Your face, eyes heavy, forehead smooth. 1. Nothing left to do. Nothing left to prepare. You're safe here. Nothing in this place requires attention. Nothing needs to be watched closely. If your thoughts wander, that's all right. If sleep arrives early, the forest continues without effort. There's no expectation to stay awake. This place knows how to hold you. And now, as the forest begins to take shape around you, the path appears naturally beneath your feet. The night air cools the skin. The trees stand quietly nearby, and the walk into the Bunya Mountains begins. You move slowly, following a path that rises almost without asking anything of you. The ground beneath your feet is soft, layered with fallen needles and leaf litter that give slightly as you step. Each footfall lands quietly, absorbed before it can echo. The air here feels cooler than it did moments ago. Not cold, just steadier. It rests against your skin instead of passing through. As the path curves, you hear a brief rustle above. A small bird shifts its weight on a branch. There's a single chirp, not a call, just a sound, and then it settles again. The forest returns to its previous rhythm, as though nothing needed to be announced. Ahead, close to the path, a tall tree stands apart from the others. Its trunk is broad, its bark thick and deeply textured, layered in plates and ridges that look almost fitted together. You recognize it without needing to name it. This is a Bunya pine. You walk closer. The bark carries a faint scent, dry, earthy, slightly resinous. It doesn't travel far. You have to be near it to notice it. The tree doesn't offer it freely. Bunya pines grow slowly. They spend a long time grounding themselves before they reach upward. Their roots settle deep first, anchoring firmly, holding steady through decades of quiet weather. Only then do they rise tall, patient, unhurried. These trees produce large cones, heavy with nuts. Long ago, people would travel here when the cones were ready. They came to gather, to share, to stay briefly, and then, when the season passed, they left. The forest kept its shape. The trees continued growing at their own pace. Nothing here feels hurried now. You stand for a moment longer, then continue along the path. As you move away, a soft wind passes across your face, brushes your shoulders, and trails gently down your back. It's not strong enough to shift branches or leaves. It only makes itself known on your skin. The forest ahead grows denser. The light changes first. It filters through thicker layers of foliage, breaking into softer fragments as it reaches the ground. Shadows overlap. The path narrows slightly, though it remains clear. It still knows where it's going. Your breathing adjusts without instruction. It slows. Or perhaps you just notice it more clearly now. The quiet pause between breaths. The way air settles before leaving again. The sounds here are smaller. A leaf loosens and drifts down somewhere nearby. Insects hum faintly, more felt than heard. The forest doesn't fill the space with noise. It leaves room. As you walk, the scent of damp earth becomes more noticeable. Soil, moss, decomposing leaves. Nothing sharp. Everything has been softened by time. The ground holds moisture, but it doesn't feel wet. Just alive and quietly working. The path continues to rise, gently enough that your body doesn't protest. Each step feels supported and balanced. There's no need to check your footing too carefully. The surface is kind. You pass more Bunya pines, their trunks spaced generously apart, allowing light and air to move between them. Their branches stretch outward rather than downward, forming wide, steady silhouettes above. Here, the forest feels older, not in a dramatic way, just settled, as though it has been itself for a very long time and sees no reason to change that now. You keep walking. time becomes less specific. There's no marker asking you to notice how long you've been here. No moment that needs recording. The path unfolds at the pace of your steps, and that seems sufficient. Somewhere deeper in the trees, another bird stirs. A sound rises, fades, and leaves no echo behind it. The forest holds the quiet easily, like something it has practiced. You move on, unaccompanied, steady, present. The path still beneath you, the forest still around you, and nothing asking you to be anywhere else. You continue along the path as it levels out, the incline easing until the ground feels almost flat beneath your feet. The forest floor here is layered and forgiving. Needles, leaves, fragments of bark, years of slow accumulation cushioning each step. The Bunya Mountains rise quietly around you, not sharply, not dramatically. These mountains are old, much older than they look. They belong to an ancient volcanic plateau, weathered down over time into rounded ridges and gentle slopes. What once stood higher has been softened, worn back into something calmer. The air carries that same steady coolness. Even on warmer days, this place tends to hold its temperature. Elevation does that. So does forest cover. The trees keep extremes at bay. As you walk, the forest opens slightly, enough to let in a pale wash of light. You notice the way the canopy arranges itself. Bunya pines rising tall and straight, interspersed with hoop pines, eucalyptus, and pockets of dense undergrowth. Each species seems to have found a comfortable distance from the next. Bunya pines can live for hundreds of years. Some of the trees you pass began growing long before roads reached this area, before tracks were marked, before footsteps were counted. They grew slowly, steadily, with no urgency. You pause briefly, without deciding to. A cone lies off to the side of the path, large, heavy, weathered, even empty. It looks substantial. Bunya cones can weigh several kilograms when fresh. When they fall straight down. The trees don't scatter them. They release them deliberately once they're ready. You step around it and move on. The forest grows denser again, and with it, quietness. Sound doesn't travel far here. It settles quickly, absorbed by foliage and earth. Even your own movement feels muted. You notice moisture in the air now. Not mist, just presence. This area receives more rainfall than the surrounding lowlands. Clouds catch on the plateau. Water lingers. Ferns thrive in these conditions, and you pass several. Their fronds layered like slow-moving green waves. A creek runs somewhere nearby. You don't see it yet, but you hear it. A soft, repetitive sound, not quite flowing, not quite dripping. Water finding its way downhill, one small decision at a time. You follow the sound until the path curves again. The creek appears, narrow and shallow, crossing beneath a small timber bridge. The water is clear enough to show smooth stones below, rounded by years of passing over them. You pause at the center of the bridge, resting your hands lightly on the railing. The water doesn't rush. It moves steadily, quietly, unconcerned with speed. This creek feeds into larger systems farther away, eventually joining rivers that travel far beyond these mountains. Here, though, it's content to remain small. You cross and continue. The forest floor changes again. More moss now, clinging to rocks, spreading across fallen logs. Some of the logs are old enough that they no longer look like trees, just soft shapes returning to the ground. Decomposition happens slowly here, assisted by moisture and shade. You pass through a stand of trees where the light dims noticeably. The canopy thickens, overlapping branches forming a ceiling that filters everything down to green and gray. The air feels cooler still, and your shoulders relax without instruction. Breathing becomes easier here. Long ago, people gathered in these mountains during Bunya nut season. They came from surrounding regions, traveling significant distances. The gatherings were seasonal and temporary. When the harvest ended, the people left, allowing the land to return to itself. The forest remembers this rhythm. Arrival, staying briefly, leaving. You walk on, following the same unspoken agreement. Bird life shifts subtly as you move. Species change with elevation and habitat. Some calls sound unfamiliar. Some barely register as sound at all. A wing beat, a movement, a presence, then absence again. The path narrows, then widens, as if adjusting to the terrain rather than imposing itself on it. Tree roots cross the ground occasionally. Their surface is smooth from years of exposure. You step over them easily. Your body adjusts without conscious effort. The scent of the forest deepens. Damp wood, leaf matter, something faintly sweet carried on the air. Flowering plants you don't see but sense nearby. You pass a clearing where grass grows thicker and shorter. The ground is less cluttered here. The sky is more visible, pale and wide through the opening. You notice how the forest edges soften around the clearing, trees leaning inward but not closing it off completely. This place feels intentional, even though it isn't. You continue on. The path begins a gentle descent now, barely noticeable. Your steps feel lighter going down. Gravity does a little of the work for you. Muscles loosen further. There's no need to rush. In this part of the mountains, weather can change quickly. Clouds can arrive without ceremony. Rain may fall lightly and leave just as quietly. The forest accepts it without reaction. Everything here is prepared for moisture. A breeze moves through again, stronger this time. It lifts the edges of leaves, brushes the tops of grasses, and passes over you in a slow wave. You feel it along your arms, your neck, the back of your head. Then it's gone. The forest closes in slightly as you walk, returning you to shade and layered greens. The light softens. Time stretches. You're not thinking about where the path leads anymore, only about the step you're taking. And then the next one. The mountains continue holding their shape. The forest continues holding its quiet. And you move through it, present, unhurried, and entirely allowed to be exactly where you are. The path curves again, and the sound of water grows clearer now, not louder, just closer. The air cools slightly as you move toward it, carrying the clean, mineral scent of running water and wet stone. You notice the ground underfoot change. Fewer needles here, more packed earth, small stones pressed smooth by passing feet and time. The trees begin to thin. Ahead, the sound resolves itself into something continuous, a steady fall, not violent, not dramatic, just water moving downward because it can. You step into a small opening, and the waterfall reveals itself. It isn't tall, but it is constant. Water spills over a dark rock ledge, breaking into thin white ribbons as it falls into a shallow pool below. Moss clings to the surrounding stone, fed by fine mist that never quite settles. Ferns grow thickly along the edges, their fronds catching droplets and holding them. You stop a short distance away. The air here feels different, cooler, slightly heavier. Each breath carries moisture with it, softening the inside of your chest as you inhale. The sound of the water fills the space evenly, leaving no gaps for other thoughts to take hold. This waterfall flows year-round. Even in drier seasons, water continues to pass through this place. The mountains hold it, release it, and pass it along without interruption. You move closer, slowly, careful not to disturb the ground near the pool. The rocks at the edge are darkened by constant dampness, their surfaces smoothed by countless years of water passing over them. You crouch or stand, it doesn't matter which. Both feel natural here. The pool below is clear enough to show the stones beneath, arranged as though deliberately placed. Ripples spread outward where the water meets the surface, overlapping and dissolving into one another. Nothing stays sharp for long. You stay for a while. Time stretches here more easily. The sound of falling water holds everything in place. Eventually, you step back, leaving the waterfall to its work. The sound softens as you return to the path, becoming part of the background again rather than the focus. The forest opens further ahead. The trees thin noticeably now, giving way to a broader, clearer space. Grass grows low and even, and the ground feels firmer beneath your feet. Light reaches the earth without filtering, settling gently across the open area. You step into it. Here, the sky feels closer, wider. You can see more of it between the treetops, pale and steady. The air moves more freely too, brushing across your arms and face without obstruction. This open space feels like a pause the forest allows itself. You walk across it at an easy pace. No obstacles, no roots crossing your path. Just space to move and breathe without adjusting. In places like this, people once camped during Bunya season, temporary shelters. desires kept small, nothing built to last. When the time came, everything was taken away again. The clearing remained. The ground remembers this lightly, if at all. As you reach the far side, the trees begin to gather again, but differently now. Their spacing feels more relaxed, less dense than before. The forest here seems to breathe outward rather than inward. The light begins to change. It isn't sudden. It never is. Shadows lengthen slightly. Colors soften. Greens deepen. The air cools another degree, noticeable mostly where it touches your skin. You continue along the path as evening begins to settle. Bird sounds shift. Some fade away entirely. Others take their place, quieter, more deliberate. Insects begin their slow, rhythmic chorus, individual sounds blending into a soft, continuous layer. The forest floor darkens first. Details blur gently at the edges. You lift your feet a little higher without thinking, adjusting to what you can and can't see as clearly now. Your body knows how to move in low light. The sky above deepens from pale to dusky blue, and then darker still. The last of the light filters through the canopy in thin strands before disappearing altogether. Night arrives without announcement. The air cools again, settling around you more firmly now. It feels heavier, calmer, as though it intends to stay. A breeze moves through once more, slower this time, brushing across your face and down your spine before fading. The forest sounds grow simpler. No sharp edges, no urgency, just a steady presence of life continuing quietly around you. You walk a little longer, then slow. There's no need to go further tonight. The ground beneath you feels level and safe. The air holds you. The forest closes in gently, not to trap, but to shelter. You remain where you are, breathing, listening, letting the night take over the work of holding everything steady. The mountains continue holding their shape. The forest continues holding the dark. You move just a little farther, guided more by feel than direction now. The forest opens once more, not into a wide clearing this time, but into a sheltered pocket, a natural pause held between trees. The ground here is level and softly layered. Pine needles lie thick beneath you, interwoven with leaves and fragments of bark, forming a surface that yields without sinking. A fallen log rests nearby, its edges rounded and softened by time. Moss has claimed much of it, turning the wood into something closer to earth than timber. This feels like a place people have stopped before. Not often, not recently, but enough that the ground knows how to receive stillness. You lower yourself slowly, sitting or leaning back or resting however your body asks to. There's no correct position. The forest makes room for all of them. As you settle, the sounds around you reorganize. A soft chorus of insects rises and falls gently, never quite stopping, never quite beginning. Crickets hold a steady rhythm, their calls spaced evenly, leaving wide gaps of quiet between them. Somewhere closer, something smaller clicks once, then again, then fades back into the background. The air cools again as night deepens. Here in the Bunya Mountains, the elevation and distance from towns allow the dark to arrive fully. Artificial light doesn't reach this far. The forest doesn't reflect what isn't there. You tilt your head back slightly. Above the canopy, the sky has cleared. Stars emerge quietly, one by one at first, then in greater number as your eyes adjust. The mountains are known for this. Clear nights, wide skies, darkness deep enough to let the stars show themselves properly. The Milky Way stretches faintly across the sky, not bright, but present. A pale band of light that doesn't demand attention. It simply exists. The night sounds continue without variation. Crickets keep their patient rhythm. A faint rustle passes through the grasses nearby, then settles. Nothing moves with urgency. The ground beneath you holds warmth from the day, releasing it slowly upward. Your body settles into it, supported. No effort is required. Breathing finds a deeper rhythm. Longer pauses between each rise and fall. The Bunya pines stand around you, their tall forms barely visible now, more felt than seen. They hold a space upward, framing the sky without closing it in. A night bird calls once in the distance, a low, rounded sound, then leaves the quiet intact. The insects continue, steady and unconcerned. These mountains have held nights like this for a very long time. Clear, dark, undisturbed. You remain where you are. There's no path to follow now, no distance to cover. Only the steady presence of the ground beneath you, the cool air around you, the soft rhythm of night, sounds continuing on their own, and the open sky above. The stars continue their quiet work. The forest continues holding the night, and you rest, supported, unobserved, with nothing left to do but allow sleep to arrive in its own time.